Yeah, this is a tale, oh yeah, a tale of two hygienists. So there might be only one, bringing the best of dental knowledge, and we do it all with ease. We cover oral health and screening, and preventing gum disease. We're gonna do a lot of learning, and have a little bit of fun working at the dentist. A tale of two hygienists.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of A Tale of Two Hygienists. I'm your host, Andrew Johnston, and this, my friends, is a very special bonus episode brought to you by Air Techniques. In this episode, we welcome in Sonya Dunbar, who many of you probably know. She's been on the show before. And if you don't know her, Sonya owns and operates a mobile dental clinic, among many other things that she does. And so we talk about lots of different things, but mostly about that mobile dentistry. We talk about how someone can get involved, what different options there are for mobile dentistry to get into, and like school-based or in a van or what have you. I also ask her, because this is a very important one, about disinfection, sterilization, and waterline treatments, and what all that looks like in the mobile setup. So she answers those questions, and we had just a good time. She's a good person to know. Make sure you guys do reach out to her if you have any questions about it. I'm sure she'd really love it and appreciate it. And go check her out on social media, because she has a lot of things to offer. I also want to say, we really appreciate the partnership that we have with Air Techniques. You guys have heard them on over the last couple of years. They have a great line of products that Sonya mentioned in the episode, from Monarch's disinfecting wipes to sprays to, they have this really delightful smelling apple scented hand sanitizer that I'm just in love with. They have enzymatic cleaners for your pre-soaks and your ultrasonics. They have CleanStream, the evacuation system cleaner. They have all of these things and so much more. And so this episode would not be possible without their partnership. So please show them your support back by talking to your supplier, talk to your product reps, and see what deals they have for you. And with that, I hope you enjoy this episode with Sonya Dunbar.
A tale of two hygienists.
Welcome, everybody, into the interview portion of the podcast. So excited today. We have a pretty important topic we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit about mobile dentistry. We're also going to be talking about evacuation lines and making sure that we're keeping those clear and maintained. And we have just a phenomenal human being on for our guest today. Sonya Dunbar's on. Sonya, welcome to the podcast again.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
So, you've been on the show before, but I think that, I think it bears repeating a little bit, your story, your history, where you're coming from. We're talking a little bit before we started recording about, your passion for dentistry, your passion for human beings. And I kind of want to just revisit that a little bit for maybe some of our new listeners that are coming in.
Absolutely. Yes. I'm known as the geriatric tooth fairy. I have a mobile dental company, and we provide dental care in a couple of states to residents that live in nursing homes. And I have a passion for that because my grandmother used to live in a nursing home, and they weren't taking care of her teeth. And I always promised her I wouldn't put her in a nursing home. And when I went in there, because I had to put her in a nursing home, because at home I was causing more damage than good because of all the comorbidities that she had, I seen the deplorable oral condition that was going on in nursing homes. It's a silent epidemic that these older people mouths are not being cleaned. So I just started out going in there volunteering. And I just believe that your passion can turn into your career. And it did. It turned into a career for me. I learned just from doing it for free, it turned into a full business. And it's just what we do every day. We have a full team around us. We service over 300 to 500 seniors a month that cannot get out of the nursing home. We do comprehensive dentistry, and I just love it. I'm saving lives because as dental professionals, we know the mouth-body connection, and we know that if your body isn't healthy, if your mouth isn't healthy, your whole body isn't healthy. So that's what we focus on. A lot of seniors in nursing homes don't even get the simple thing as getting their teeth brushed every day. Some of them don't get their teeth brushed from month to month, and let alone having dentures removed. And then the rampant decay. So we're able to provide comprehensive dentistry to a vulnerable population that really appreciate it. And I just love it.
I mean, that's amazing that you do that. maybe some of our listeners might not understand, I guess the term mobile dentistry has a lot of different connotations, right? So you could be like you were mentioning going into the nursing homes. What are some of the other settings that you've seen out there through your connections in that community that people are doing mobile dentistry?
So first of all, I want to say I'm glad you asked. So there's mobile dentistry, and that's usually when someone is going around in the van. They may have a trailer where they have 2 or 3 chairs in it, and they're going to schools or Head Starts or to people businesses. And then you have what you call portable mobile dentistry, which I do, where I bring small portable equipment into a space. And that could be done at schools as well, gymnasiums, community centers. And then you have people like Jet Dental Jet Dental does portable, where they'll pop up at maybe Blue Cross and Blue Shield. They'll take over a conference room and put dividers up, and they have full dentistry. They even do crowns and bridges and teeth whitening at people's jobs, because a lot of people just won't take off work to go to the dentist. But now the dentist is coming to them. So I've seen it at schools. I've seen it at community centers. I've seen them at conventions, retreats. It's really good for the homeless, outlining communities where people live that can't get access to dentistry. So the vans are good. The portable is good, however you want to do it. Mobile dentistry is any form of dentistry that's outside of the brick and mortar building, period. That's what mobile dentistry is.
That's such an interesting concept. So you're saying that, so is this Jet Dental, is that like almost like an office, it's like a for-profit situation?
Oh my gosh, yes. See, people get the wrong idea that mobile dentistry is just for underserved population. This Jet Dental, they're going everywhere. They're in many states. I mean, they're in over 30 states, I think 20 to 30 states. And they just take everything. Google jetdental.com, and they pull up in a truck and they bring dividers in, chairs, they set up a little office. But what they do is, before they even come, you think about it. Everybody that may work at Nike, this is an example. Everybody there that works there, they have the same insurance.
Sure.
So Jet Dental will call, they'll run everybody insurance, get everybody deductible. The first time they come in, they'll do exams and x-rays and treatment plans. The next time they come, they'll start doing cleanings, extractions, simple fillings, bridge works, whitening, and they bill it before they even come. People can pay their deductible online. It is amazing. It is amazing. Dentistry, since Jet Dental was before COVID, but after COVID, dentistry will never be the same as far as people thinking outside of the box. If you don't have an arm in the community, some sort of mobile arm in the community, I feel that you're kind of behind in the game. A dentist can have a hygienist that they can go send in the community to do they can do a teledentistry exam, maybe at a school, if they want to service some of the kids at schools, at a college campus. And then that'll free up that hygiene chair in the office where they can bring a specialist in that day, once a month, when the hygienist is out in the community. And you can build that insurance if your state allows for you to send a hygienist in the community with a teledentistry camera, mouthwatch, teledentex. They're all there for that.
Wow.
So yeah, it's so many opportunities. Mobile dentistry, I just hate that people think of it as this like going around and servicing the underserved. Yes, there's a need for the underserved, but mobile dentistry is very profitable.
That's awesome. I mean, it's really good to know. I think that it's really important to have that distinction out there. One of the maybe concerns that people have with mobile dentistry, and I don't think it's necessarily just the clinicians, I also think that it's the patients, is about like cleanliness, because I know it's really hard to it's hard enough to disinfect our own operatories when it's, a brick and mortar. But tell me a little bit about like the disinfection process that could happen for mobile or portable dentistry.
Thank you for asking. And a lot of people do have that idea. So now we have an office, a physical office, because we do comprehensive dentistry. Now, at our office, we do no dentistry. We do all of our billing. We do our sterilization here. We do all of our supplies, because we do lab work. Our dentures and things get delivered here, and we disperse our hygienists in the field, our dentists in the field. But all of our instruments, we do sterilization. We send in our sterilization strips every week, just like a dental office does. We do our line cleaning. I'm a big fan of Monarch line cleaning. We line clean once a week. We use the Monarch suction after every treatment. We do their suction treatment where we hook our hose up to that and we suction out after every treatment. We use all the proper disinfectants, even just like everyone else. We even carry around an air diffuser that kind of pulls aerosols out of the air, especially in long-term care facilities. So we go that extra mile. We have Stericycle. We follow HIPAA. And another good example is our company is the second and I think we're the only two or third, I think it's only two companies that's ACHC certified. So we have accreditation like a hospital. That ACHC that accreditates hospitals, to give hospitals their 5-star, they came and they sat with our company for like 5 days. They went through all of our employee files. They went through all of our sterilization. They went through all of our logs for traveling. They went through everything. And they were with us. It was like the grueling most 5 days. But we are credentialed with ACHC. It's like ACA. So it's just an amazing process. But to answer your question, I'm a huge fan of Air Techniques with line cleaner. Like I said, we do it every week. We do our suction our hose after every procedure, to prevent the backflow. And especially working with a vulnerable population, people going out working with kids, they're very big. That's why we have our conference. We have all that information there at the National Mobile Intelligence Conference. We talk about infection control. We have the people there to provide the equipment that you need for infection control. So infection control is very important, is very vital for the mobile clinician.
It's interesting. You talk a little bit about that, the line cleaning, the suction, the hoses, whatever you as the listener knows this term to be, that your evacuation lines. When COVID, hit, and we talk about that for the last, 3 years or so, we've talked a lot about the importance of how your suction needs to remain strong. And if your evacuation lines aren't being cleaned out, you're not going to have the strength of suction to pull those aerosols out like you're supposed to. And much more, I think, for people that are using maybe like an adapter at the end of your suction, that won't be nearly as effective as it should be as well. So I'm glad that you hit on cleaning those evacuation lines. In like a van, what does that look like as far as evacuation lines? Is it pretty much the same setup as we have in our brick and mortar dental offices?
Yes, in the vans, it's pretty much the same. We have on the vans, they have the same portable mobile equipment. It's like in a suitcase.
Oh yeah.
Aceptico and Dental Works make them. They're like in a suitcase. The same one that I would roll into a nursing home is the same one they have attached in the van. So oftentimes they can take them off the van and, take them inside of their buildings if they have to go inside. If it is one that's connected to the van, I know most of those van people, they run their lines because it's so important to keep that cleaned out, like you said, to keep that power to pull the suction in. So yes, mobile equipment in the van, whether it's portable mobile equipment that comes on and off the van or that's attached to the van. But most of the vans that I've seen recently, the equipment is the same equipment I use. It's portable and they can take it on and off. This equipment is so expensive. I don't think a lot of people would like to leave it on the van overnight. I would take mine in for the most part if I had to.
Let me ask this, because I remember seeing at the conferences these suitcase type systems. Where is like the amalgam separator stuff in all of this? Is there that also?
No, I don't think they have an amalgam separator in that at all. Because when you use the suction, it comes into a little container, like a bowl at the bottom. So we just dump that out at the end. So it's nothing that kind of, you use the high volume suction, it goes into a container.
So I guess that'd be different than if we're doing hygiene procedures versus restorative procedures, to make sure that we have that difference. So I want to talk a little bit about last year when we were talking with Air Techniques. They talked a little bit about having a foaming versus non-foaming cleaner. And I feel like in my career, I've almost always had foaming cleaners. And,
Wow.
and I know, yeah, sorry, don't judge. But here's the thing, like you're in this career and you find things out as you go along, right?
Right. Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
and what they explained, and I'm sorry, this is probably, all about this already, but they're explaining that you really want to try and use a non-foaming cleaner, especially if you have like a dry vacuum, because they were saying that the foaming cleaners will leave the turbine coated with like a residue and
Yes. Yes.
you have some debris on it, right? And that's going to lead to that, what we talked about already, loss of suction. And then eventually that pump's going to fail. And so maybe you could talk a little bit about, as a business owner, trying to make sure that you maintain your equipment so you're not having to buy pumps and the equipment like all the time. Like, what do you have in place for your employees to make sure that they're following these rules?
Thank you, Andrew, for asking that. That's one of the reasons why we do use Air Technique products, because it helps us prevent our equipment breaking down as much as other equipments would. Because our equipment, like for one of those units, it can cost anywhere between one of our portable suctions and portable units to cost anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000. I know
Wow.
that's not a lot for a practice, a brick and mortar practice, but for a mobile clinician that's in and out of the field who may have 5 to 6 hygienists going out with dentists, that's a lot to have out in the field. So it's important that we use the best products when we're cleaning our equipment and keeping our lines clean, because we can't afford for our motors or our pumps to go out in our portable equipment. And the sad thing is we do not have replacement equipment. So if someone's equipment goes down, then we're out of business for a while until we can get that equipment shipped off, repaired, and brought back in, or they can loan and share with another dental hygienist or a dentist that's in the field. But that's difficult because we're all over in different states and different cities. So it's important that our equipment is maintained, that we use quality products to keep our lines and our suction clean and working properly.
It's probably a little bit of a sticker shock you guys have a whole business model and all of that. And I think there are a lot of hygienists that are just wanting to be just solo entrepreneurs by themselves. And they're thinking about this. They're like, crap, it's like $5,000 to $10,000 for this one piece of unit. It's expensive. Maybe we could talk a little bit, and you don't have to give all your secrets away, but if there is someone that was listening to this today and they're thinking, you know what, I do want to get into mobile dentistry, but I want to have a realistic expectation of a startup cost. Like, what is kind of the bare minimum for equipment and setup that I need to be thinking about?
I would say a bare minimum is $20,000 to $23,000, because I'm going to tell anybody for the rest of my life, do not make the mistakes I made. When I tell you I went to try to buy the cheapest equipment, the cheapest units, for the dentist, for the high speed and for the high volume suction, I tried to go, because I was trying to save money. So I would buy one that was like $5,000 and or under, and they just didn't last, because you're mobile, you're moving them in and out. And I'm very gentle with my stuff, but when you just you're moving stuff around, it gets wear and tear. So that would probably be your biggest expense, is that part of it, and your X-ray. And I just, when we were younger, now we're in 3 states, but I would try to go around and take the X-rays, because we only had one sensor, because that's what gets you, is that sensor.
Yeah.
And I didn't want anybody to get it crunched in nothing. And finally, the sensor, I think, was like $7,000 or something like that. I don't remember. But, I found a company that let me make payments on it. And then the software, those are some of the biggest expenses: the X-ray, the equipment, and your like Dentrex or whatever. You have to have a cloud-based software that you use it in the field, that's also HIPAA compliant. So those are some of the bigger hit tickets. You can buy your instruments and different things like that, but those big ticket items, you kind of want to get the top of the line. You pay for what you get, and that's the truth in dentistry. And that's why, here again, we're with Air Techniques. Even they're disinfectant. I love it. when I'm in nursing home, it doesn't have a high odor. Some of the disinfectants that I use, they're so strong that the elderly people don't even like it when I'm kind of disinfecting the area after we clean up. They don't like the smell.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to find stuff that's friendly to your equipment, that's friendly to your patients, whether you're serving adults in nursing homes or children in schools, or you go in a pop-up at people's jobs. You don't want that strong antiseptic smell in the air. So it's a lot, but it's so worth it. It's nothing like being your own boss, making your own rules and servicing the people the way you want to, not happen to, I don't compromise my care. I'm able to give them 110% because I'm not compromised with an overhead like that. So I really love what I do.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about trying to stay on top of new rules, I would say legislature. We have a note here. If it's okay with you, I just want to read this note verbatim because I don't want to mess it up, because I will mess it up. But they talked about the EPA passed a rule very specific for the best management practices for dental amalgam waste, which if you're doing maybe hygiene procedures, this is probably less important, but I think it still applies to you. I think it's just maybe not as top of mind if you're not having amalgam anyways in there. But this came out July of 2017. They said the final rule prohibits the use of bleach or chlorine containing cleaners that may lead to the dissolution of solid mercury when cleaning chairside traps and vacuum lines. Vacuum lines must not be cleaned with oxidizing or acidic cleaners, including but not limited to bleach, chlorine, iodine, and peroxide that have a pH lower than 6 or greater than 8. And so, I guess, so going back to my question, I was like, this is a really important rule that we need to know about. But what do you all do to try and stay on top of some of the new rules or legislation that comes out?
Thank you for asking that. One of the biggest things that I like about being accredited by ACHC, we stay abreast of all the new rules that come out for dentistry, any legislation that are passed that we need to know about. Also, being a part of the National Mobile and Teledentistry Conference and being a part of AMTA, which is the American Mobile and Teledentistry Alliance, we get all of the updates of what's going on in the field, all the latest changes and rules for mobile dentistry. That keeps us abreast of what's going on in our community.
Oh, that's nice to have that, such a great resource.
Yes.
I guess my last question, we'll try and keep this one a little bit shorter today, but my last question is more along the lines of any tips that you might have for clinicians to make cleaning evacuation lines more effective or more efficient with their time, or things that you think that they could really benefit from?
You know what? Being mobile, it really has brought a lot of safeguards to me, even more so because I cannot control the environment that I'm in. See, when you're in a dental operatory, that's your space, that's your zone. You kind of control that. So you have your handle on what's going on. But being mobile, we're in different places often. And sometimes I'm in a beauty salon, sometimes I'm in the back of a hallway, sometimes I'm in an empty patient's room, wherever they can find space. So cleaning our evacuation lines, making sure the room is disinfected and sanitized is very important. So what we do, we have our whole separate container where we carry all of our line cleaning, our disinfectant, and our wipes and everything in that. And that's just something we do. We have one that we do in between patients. It's a setup that once we set up to work on a patient, whether the dentist is doing extractions, we're doing a cleaning, we're doing a simple amalgam, not amalgam, we're doing a simple filling. We don't do a lot of amalgams in the field. We're doing a simple composite. Once that patient is done, we wipe that area down, we flush the lines. It's a part of our setup. It's a part of our system. It's a part of our flow. So I would encourage hygienists just to make that a part of your flow. Mm-hmm. We have our weekly line cleaning. After each patient, we suction our lines out. So we just make it a flow and it just works for us.
I love that. Now, I think it was the same, like everything that we do in hygiene has like a very good flow to it. I clean teeth in a very specific order, like every single time. I think it's just really good to have like a best practices for, efficiency, trying to stay on time and all that kind of stuff as well. Sonya, you have so much for our hygiene friends and colleagues that they can learn from you. If they wanted to reach out or if they wanted to kind of follow you on something, where can they find you?
Oh, thank you for asking. SonyaDunbar.com is my website. Geriatric_Tooth Fairy is IG, and Facebook as well, Geriatric Tooth Fairy. I would love for you to follow me and follow my journey as we care for our greatest generation.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is a tale, oh yeah, a tale of two hygienists. So there might be only one, bringing the best of dental knowledge, and we do it all with ease. We cover oral health and screening, and preventing gum disease. We're gonna do a lot of learning, and have a little bit of fun working at the dentist. A tale of two hygienists.